Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pinball. This is called Storytellers Twitch chat, and we are going to talk to you guys about this week's show and Pinball Storytellers overall. So if you have any questions, please line them up in chat. We'll answer them all, and we'll talk a bit about next week's show, maybe a theme, maybe something. But yes, please feel free to tell us your opinion, if you have any criticism, suggestions, and so on. Leave them up in chat. I'll set up chatty so you guys can actually see like where we are in the chat just in a couple of seconds. Entertain chat as I do window captures. It is your
Hi,
mission.
chat. Super entertaining. I want you all to know that today is Cake Day.
You heard it here first.
Quidlis management de la Bruche, or let them eat cake, perhaps the most famous quote about cake ever. These are the words of a great French princess, often likely Marie Antoinette herself, upon being informed that the peasants were so poor that they had no bread to eat during one of the famines that occurred in France during the reign of her husband Louis XIV. And it is the history of Cake Day. Funny story about that, actually. The reason there was a famine was because invading armies had burned down the crops. And not too distant in the past, the Louis XIV had tried to get the farmers to switch over from growing grain to growing potatoes, because potatoes grow in the ground. So if you burn down a field of potatoes, you can actually go dig up the potatoes still and eat them. So they're great anti-war food. But the farmers wouldn't switch over because they liked bread too much. And you can actually make bread out of potatoes, but it's more difficult. So it wasn't so much let them eat cake as sort of like a mean thing to say. It was like, well, if they just listened to us, they'd be fine. They didn't, so they're going to starve. Fuck those people. They didn't listen to us.
Interesting.
A little bit of context for you. A little bit of context.
So, Justin, I want to hear your opinion on our Romanian fairy tale. What do you think of it?
Romanians are weird. I'm going to put that out there. Also, they have a huge obsession with threes and really pretty fairies. I'm not sure if that's a normal thing for Romanian fairy tales.
Yes, it is. The magical number of 3 is ever present.
Okay. So that's just a standard thing.
Yes, that is just a standard thing.
It was interesting. I had fun. I'm not entirely sure what my character's motivation was to constantly want youth of that age and life without death. He seemed pretty obsessed with it, so I just went with it. But I feel like, if one of the girls in the first at the Woodpecker Fairies place was like really hot, I would have just stopped, gone back home, and been like, no, it's all a mistake. I really don't want that.
Giant woodpeckers are not common, Shane. It's actually yes, it's the only one I have ever found encountered along reading Romanian fairy tales. Yeah,
interesting choice. Like giant woodpecker, like it's not the first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking of, okay, what would I curse someone to be?
That would be one of the things about Romanians. We are weird, but usually when we try to write something, we are pretty original. Hello, Warder's mom. Okay, so what do you feel, Justin? What do you feel about next week? Do you have anything in mind?
I didn't have anything in mind. I know a lot of people really wanted to see Hans Christian Andersen's Little Mermaid. I know I had actually had a request on Twitter for it. I've had multiple people talk about it in my chat, so it's a really popular idea. I know you wanted to do the good old other one.
Yes,
that we were talking about before.
Hansel and Gretel.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's
I think we have some strong options for next week.
Yeah, maybe one of those.
We could
maybe
actually.
neither.
I mean, we could pick. What could we do? I don't know.
You know what? We did a straw poll before.
We did a straw poll before.
Yeah, we might not. That's in the end. If we actually find that both of us find a better story that we consent that it's actually better, we might do that. But we are very interested in you guys' input. So if you had to choose between what story did you want to see? I'm typing it up as well. That's why I'm.
I know you can do. We could actually have a straw poll where they pick the format, and then maybe they pick a format they haven't seen before, and then
Ooh,
once we know the format, we pick a story.
interesting. So yeah, are you guys? 1 second. So are you guys below this? You see below chat, there is a players and characters little button. So press that. I'm gonna link it again. Just press that, and it should bring you to a Google Documents. And in that Google Documents, there will be a second. I'm actually gonna open it up as well. There will be a Pinball and Storytellers document. So to make it a bit easier, what you guys saw previously, like this, that was the second format of the story. And those are the formats there. I'm gonna put them up in a straw poll, and I'm gonna actually put a straw poll up, and you guys can choose a format that you want to see. Well, besides guest storytelling, because that's not happening at now. That's when we decide on a guest storytelling. It's gonna be like we need to prepare beforehand, talk to the people, and not just a 1 week crisis, especially with and Thanksgiving so close.
Yeah.
So
it'd be awkward to try and work in some. So we're looking at co-op storytelling. That's kind of like Red Riding Hood, the very first one we did. DMing a story, that was last week and this week. You guys have 2 strong examples of that. Chaotic storytelling, where we just start with a genre, a premise, an intrigue, or maybe we start with an ending and we try to get to the ending and see what happens. Or an explanatory narrative, where we start with a game that doesn't even have a story usually, and we try and play the game and make up a story based on what happens in the game.
Okay, so give me 1 second, and I will copy
So
this
I think we haven't done chaotic storytelling, and we haven't done explanatory narratives before. So
we can
both
actually.
of those would be
That's pretty
both of those
interesting.
would be completely new for us and for chat.
So, what do you guys want to see?
Well, chaotic storytelling is taking off with the lead so far. Explanatory narrative is taking 20% of the vote. We'll give that a few minutes, see if it balances out.
Yep, I can see it. Okay, good. Guys, please continue on voting on that. So we really want to hear your opinion. For those who have just got here or don't know what's happening, go down below, and there is there's a tab that says players and characters, and there's a pinball storytellers document, so you can read about the formats that are there. Okay, so let's talk about stories maybe. Like, besides that, and we look at the format votes just in a couple of minutes after they all vote.
Wow, chaos is like running away with this.
Yes, it is.
Chaos right now has 69% of the vote.
So let's talk about chaos.
I don't think anyone else should vote, because it should just stay there. I'm kidding.
Everybody vote. No, guys, please, everybody vote. We really do want to hear. Yeah. Voting is important. You have the opportunity to do it. Yeah, I want to see 26. There's 26 of you. I want to see 26 votes there. New bot, vote.
Well, you can't. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't count either. I'm in chat. No, I'm not voting.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about chaotic storytelling. So we have a couple of choices here. We can either do that call a card game that we're talking to you about, and modify it as we go along. We can either take a premise or an ending. What do you feel like doing?
There's so many good ways of like having that initial like seed of an idea.
If I had to choose though, I'm really kind of interested in doing that. The initial thing I was talking to you about.
With the
yes,
the
exactly.
game?
I think that would work very well, because of the fact it has a couple of rules that are pretty good, and the idea that you have a ending. So that's I'll give out a brief idea, so not to spoil what if we're actually going to do this. So we have an ending, and your goal is to get there, but both the players can interrupt each other and change around the story. There's only one story. Not both have. There's only one story, and change around the story to try and get to their ending. So each of us will have a different ending, and we try to strive, logic, as much as logic and imagination will allow us, towards our ending. So it's we basically interrupt each other and try to interrupt each other. So that would be, in my mind, that would go interesting enough. What do you want to do? What's your take on this? If you had to choose between what we have right now, because no other option comes to mind.
I mean, I can think of several. Like, you could take like the beginning of a parable, or the beginning like of a riddle, and turn it into a story.
Interesting.
Like, there's one actually I was thinking of. An Arab sheik has two sons, and he doesn't know which one he wants to have inherit his kingdom. And he says, he has his sons come to him, and he says to them, whichever one of you brings your camel to the city last shall be the inheritor.
Interesting.
The sons are very confused by this, and they set out, and they ride together, but they both ride really slowly. And they realize that as long as they're on their camels, they're never going to want to get to the city, because they're always going to want the other person to get there first. And they come across a wise man in the desert, and the wise man gives them some advice, and they race out of the wise man's little home in the desert, trying to get to the city as fast as they can. What did the wise man tell them? So it's originally a riddle.
Interesting. That's pretty good.
The answer is switch camels. But you could do that, and we could each be one of the sons, and we could be trying to somehow get the other person to get there first. And you get an Arabian Nights thing going, so that would be fun. A lot of elements to pull from there.
Yes, that would work. That's a good idea as well.
So that's one idea. We could actually do we could do the improv storytelling thing I was talking about earlier. Only instead of us doing a bunch of, what we could do is we could have chat type a bunch of nouns, and we could just pick our favorite nouns from chat and be able to put them together and be like, okay, this is the premise of our story.
Interesting. That's another idea. Yeah. We could try what I did with. I actually did an improv thing once like this, but without the words, we did a sentence. Not a big sentence, but a sentence usually.
And according to Shane, we could just play Microscope.
Yep, we could just play Microscope as well. I mean,
I've never played before.
Microscope actually goes into the explanatory narrative.
Let's see. We could
kind of goes into the explanatory narrative.
Right. And I mean, we could just pick a genre too. That's an idea we had, where we pick a genre and just build a story that's very much in that genre.
Yeah.
And there's more than one way of doing that. You can say sci-fi, but that doesn't really narrow it down very much. But you could be noir sci-fi, or futuristic sci-fi, or non-technological science fiction.
Interesting.
Because there's lots of science fiction that actually doesn't focus around technology so much as the other kinds of science, like climate science, or biological sciences, or terraforming, stuff like that.
Or maybe have a horror.
Diseases, sort of viral stuff going on. You have all these options. Science fiction's more than just the tech aspect.
Agreed. So, we have a lot of options in our hands right now.
Also, I'm pretty sure chaotic storytelling won.
Yes, chaotic storytelling definitely won. That is definitely what we're doing next. So yeah, guys, Yeah, we'll definitely do chaotic storytelling. Well, it's been there for some time, and we have not tried it yet. We will try it next week, it seems. We don't know what format yet, so all of what we're talking about are ideas. We might do something completely different. We might do one thing that we talked about today. We'll see. So, anything else that we want to talk about? Any ideas that we want to share more with chat?
Nothing specific. I think we had like a little short talk before we started, and that sort of got chat up to date on what I've been thinking about when it comes to pinball storytellers.
Agreed.
I could repeat that, but it seems kind of silly since I think most people were
here, and those who did not hear that talk. Yeah.
I feel like chat's just sort of flirting with itself
Yes.
right now, not really paying attention to us at all.
Guys, pay attention to us. We're here to entertain you. If you entertain yourselves, that's a paradox. Then we have nothing to do. I mean, we have no reason to exist. Okay, so
apparently Crowbar was high on something. Actually, I want to hear the story about Crowbar being high.
Crowbar.
Why do I not know these things?
Come on, Crowbar. Tell us. Become a storyteller. Invite me to Skype.
Invite me to Skype.
It's actually a Zoom meeting. Oh, so by Skype.
Okay, I think chat just wants to be silly. I don't think they want to.
Okay, so we'll talk.
Actually, be said to exist. It depends, Shane. It depends on which philosopher you want to argue with about it.
If you guys have any questions, please wind them up. We'll talk about some stuff as we always ramble on about different things that and then, and we'll chat and hope that we have some questions. And if we don't have questions from you guys, we'll finish up for tonight.
Exactly.
One thing that I want to talk about, just real fast, so that we don't need to stay after. But schedule, everything good? Is Thanksgiving and everything?
Yeah, I'm only going to really be busy on Friday. Next week will be fine.
Good. Do you know how to play that piano?
I'm teaching myself how to play. So all I've really done so far is teach myself finger warm-up exercises. I have a book. Actually, the book has a really depressing intro. You guys want to hear the depressing intro from my book?
Come on.
The study of the piano is now so widespread and good pianists are so numerous that mediocrity on this instrument is no longer acceptable. Consequently, one must study the piano for 8 or 10 years before performing a piece of any difficulty, even at a gathering of amateurs. Few are in a position to devote so many years to the study. It as often happens that for lack of sufficient practice, the playing is uneven and incorrect. The left hand gives out in passages of slight difficulty. The fourth and fifth fingers are almost useless for lack of special exercises. And when passages in octaves, in tremolo, or trills occur, they are usually executed with such great exertion and strain that the performance is incorrect and expressionless. And I'm just like teaching myself to play the piano, and I'm reading that, and I'm like, why am I even bothering to do this?
Wow.
Like, that is not encouraging in any way, shape, or form. It's like telling me that I'm doomed to failure before I've even started. But I can do this.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Bravo. Bravo.
That's part of Ode to Joy from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.
I know.
Well, I was telling chat, but...
Oh. So, weirdly enough, it's something that I think a lot of people here know. I don't know why, but I feel like people in chat do know that.
Trigger is drunk, chat is normal again.
We do have Orthodox holidays. We do not have Thanksgiving. And Joe, we'll definitely do another system, but the problem is that it takes a lot of prep time.
The problem with doing other systems is actually that there's no overlap between the systems I'm familiar with and the systems that Chucky's familiar with.
Yeah, that's why it takes a lot of just prep time, which we have not gotten. And I mean, we're trying to do our best with what we have, but I think the ND is like the closest thing to what we both know to a better degree than anything else, and it is really an easy system to tell a story in, where the system doesn't necessarily overlap with our story too much.
Also, if you're doing standard, like if you're doing a lot of fairy tales, D&D works really well for fairy tales because it was sort of built on the narratives of a lot of fairy tales to begin with, especially, and since 5e is a throwback to like 1e and 2e to some degree, it works out pretty well.
Yeah, exactly, and we'll definitely do that system, but that's gonna be in the future when we have time to study a system, the both of us, so we understand it enough to do a pinball storytellers around. Because you need to understand pinball storytellers is something that, as Justin said at the beginning of the show, that we do it like we know what we are doing, but we actually don't have any idea what we're doing, and we are just running with the flow. We are having fun, and that this is how it ends up to be like. So running with the flow with something that we have no idea how it works is going to be a lot harder. We're definitely going to do it. Yeah, dungeon mode is simple. I know one other thing. Thing that was played a lot in D once with Apocalypse World. Apocalypse World is simple. Like all the 2d6 systems are quite simple. We might do that. The idea is that we want to try and tell stories. We don't want this to be a campaign. This is not a show, a role-playing show in the campaign season. Like, we want to keep more like episodes, standalone episodes. We want to have, how can I put this? Necessarily, like, we have series, we have bigger series, but the series themselves are not that big, so we can have somebody watch like the last episode and still understand what's going on, still understand what's happening, and be able to watch it without watching Red Riding Hood, which was the first episode. What's happening in chat? I see a lot of commotion.
Nothing. It's just they're being silly.
So yeah, that's about it about systems. We'll definitely do it. I do promise that we'll definitely do it, but not in the near future. In a time where we actually have time, or maybe you know what we might do. Maybe we'll bring a guest that can understand the system and run a story for me and Justin.
Ooh.
That just literally came to me.
I had an idea.
Go on.
It's kind of like a prompt for the explanatory narrative thing. But I was thinking about Disney. Disney has a ride called the Haunted Mansion, and as you go through the ride, like you literally are going through this mansion. Different things keep happening, and I think that would actually be fun to like have a story about why the mansion is haunted and how everything got the way it is.
Interesting. That could be a good idea. But I don't think it works with chaotic storytelling. Or do you want to do the premise?
No, it doesn't work with chaotic storytelling at all. It's just fun.
Jessie?
I don't think we want a guest named Jessie Harley Thor. Maybe if it was Jessie's girl, but not Jessie. No.
What about Jessie? I'm not getting it.
Jessie's girl is a song.
Oh.
Where do I find a woman like that?
I had no idea. Yeah, so seems like chat is silly, but I actually think we have interesting things to discuss, so I'm not gonna say done yet, because I do have an idea about chaotic storytelling that we could do. So entertaining the idea that we could have a guest, what do you think the possibilities of somebody understanding what we're doing here are?
Oh, I mean, if we explain it to them, I think the possibilities are quite high. It depends on who the guest is.
Exactly. I'm actually pretty interested in what I just said before, with having a guest to run a story for us. That could be interesting, to see both storytellers in a story trying to pull it to shreds.
Yeah. Although I kind of do that every Sunday on Honorbound. But
yeah. I mean, you're trying at least. It doesn't really work, but you're trying at least, you know. Commend the guy for trying. Okay. So, anything else you want to talk about, Justin?
No, I think this has been pretty productive as it is.
Yes, I think this is actually a good point. So yeah, that has been Pinball Storytellers, and this has been Storytellers Talk to Twitch chat. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. We surely have. Chucky is so incredibly mature. I had to read this because it's a compliment to me. Chucky is so incredibly mature and creative. It's just kind of starting to see. Thank you, Azihaya. That's an awesome thing to say. Okay, so that has been it for the show, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We enjoyed it a lot. We had a lot of fun. I myself had a lot of fun, and I'm guessing Justin had the same amount of fun, or else he'd not be here entertaining my mad rants.
I don't know about the same amount of fun. I mean, objectively, we can't measure that, so.
You got to have sex with a fairy. Shut up.
Apparently, I was bad at it, though. And that's not something that's ever happened to me in real life, so I'm adjusting.
Well, you know what? In role-playing, you get to be what you cannot be in real life.
In this case, that's true.
Okay. Happy birthday to me. I'm 1 year old, it seems. And yeah, I'll see you guys. I'll see all guys. So you can find us a neat, nice schedule below that I update every week. The next show is going to be tomorrow is Thursday, so no streaming tomorrow because busy day. Always the busy day on Thursday. Friday, we have Simon Says. We have Simon Says on Friday. So what Simon Says is, for everybody who hasn't played it before, it's a one-shot adventure DM'd by my friend Simon Chippendale, and where we basically just take a one-shot and take a system, create characters of a certain level, and try and kill Simon's monsters. Yeah. So that's about it. It's gonna happen at 19 GMT plus 2, but we have a Dragon Age Inquisition stream before, so you can get there at 17 GMT plus 3 as always. 17 GMT plus 2, so that's like 5 o'clock my time, which, to put into perspective, was about 7 hours before now. So like literally about 7 hours before now. And that's about when we start our Dragon Age Inquisition stream on Friday. You can get there and ask me whenever Simon Says is happening. It's going to be a D&D 5e adventure with characters of level 3 or 4. This channel. Simon Says is happening on this channel. And about that, we have Horde of the Dragon Queen with Justin here on Saturday, happening at 10 p.m. And Honorbound, hopefully Honorbound. I'm not necessarily sure. Neil has said something of he said he really wants to do it, because after that he'll surely not be able to do it, but I'm not completely sure on everything that's happening with Honorbound. Hoping everything will well.
Yeah, I would bet on having Honorbound this week. If I had to bet, I would bet on it.
I would bet on it as well, but we'll see. So Honorbound, if it happens at 10 p.m. my time. That's 22 GMT plus 2 on Koibu's channel. Okay, so I've been ranting around a lot. Justin, you wanna say anything?
Nope. You guys can check me out on Twitch at Cavalier Guest. Right here.
Why there? Go follow this awesome man. I'm actually
gonna be streaming right after this.
Yes.
So.
Go and watch him. If you want to stick around in this chat, which actually you should just go there, I'll definitely just host it. It's one of those things that you do because you do want to keep the partner in your show grappled to you. Like he needs to feel kind of like pushed into this show so he can never leave it. Get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My attempt of making you feeling awkward has failed. Okay, that is the end of Pinball Storytellers and Twitch and Storytellers Talk to Twitch chat. See you guys next week. Bye bye.
Bye guys.